Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
I can, yes. Good morning.
Wonderful. So, sir, I did see Commissioner Feinstein is with us. Commissioner, can you hear us?
I can.
And I believe Commissioner Pennington is here as well. Commissioner? Okay, so I don't hear Commissioner Pennington, but Mr. Chairman, we do have a quorum at present. The meeting is recording. Oh, pardon me, Commissioner Pennington, he is with us. So, Mr. Chairman, you have a full staff here, and it is 10:01, and the meeting is recording.
You might also say who else is here.
Terrific. Thank you. Let's kick it off. I hereby call to order this meeting of the Arizona Boxing and Mixed Martial Arts Commission. Today is November 15th, 2023, and the time is 10:01 a.m. Would those commissioners that are in attendance please identify themselves and state as to whether they're here in person or via telephone or via Google Meets.
This is Joe Pennington. I'm participating by telephone.
And this is Eric Feinstein. I'm joining via Google Meets.
And I am Scott Fletcher. I am participating by telephone. Welcome, commissioners. Great to have you. We've got a fairly significant agenda today, so let's jump into it. B, our new business. 1 is pursuant to ARS sections 5-227, 5-228, and AAC R19-2-C604 for persons over the age of 36. The new license application submitted by Mr. Jeremy Leviathan for a 2023 amateur MMA combatant license. Mr. Bella, we speak to Mr. Leviathan's application, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Leviathan is 49 years old. He's applying for an amateur MMA license. He has informed us that for most of his life, he has participated in martial arts, and he wants to take the jump and be competitive in MMA. And so I did receive the information regarding his training regimen that I'd like to share with you. He said that his training sessions typically are 1 to 3 hours a day, and he has 1 to 2 sessions per day. Training sessions are usually daily with a minimum of 1 complete rest day every 2 weeks. His training sessions are, in order to avoid, he says, overtraining and becoming susceptible to injury, daily strength training is alternated from the upper to lower body, and the muscles used are also alternated, so that the same muscle groups are not trained every single day, and specific exercises are alternated 6 to 8 weeks to avoid stagnation and plateaus. So this promotes progress and prevents injury. Ab workout is done daily and at the end of each session. And I will say he's very, very thorough in his training regimen, so I'll continue reading it. He also completes road work, he said, on leg days, and usually consists of sprinting a total of 1 to 3 miles. When sprinting on a track, he says he sprints the straights and walks the curves and does at least 11 laps. When sprinting the yard, he sprints 100 yards and turns around and walks 100 yards and repeat until his goal is accomplished. His training as it relates to sparring, he has light sparring 5 days a week after an hour warm-up and technical training, and usually lasts 15 to 30 minutes a day, with heavy sparring being a minimum of 1 day per week. His diet is consistent, measured and on a set schedule. There are 3 meals and 3 snacks, and they're usually set 3 hours apart. They alternate an intention, nourish, cleanse, nourish, cleanse, nourish, cleanse. He says he fasts for up to 72 hours at least a few times a year. His most recent fast was from October 27th to October 29th for 48 hours. When fasting, he only consumes water. He says he's always excited for upcoming competition and would prefer to compete every 6 weeks if possible. I maintain an even keel level of confidence, I'm quoting him here, and caution. He says he does not overestimate opponents for fear of overestimation or underestimation. His attitude is always to show up, do the job, have fun, and hope for the best for everyone involved. His attitude is proper sportsmanship. He says he feels prepared for this upcoming bout, and he's never experienced any serious injuries. He's participated in 32 years of training, and he says, although like everyone, he's been kicked, punched, kneed, elbowed, thrown down, and submitted, but never seriously injured. So again, with his thorough training regimen, as well as being healthy based on the reports that he submitted to us, I do recommend Mr. Leviathan for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Vella. Appreciate that detailed description. Commissioners, what are your thoughts regarding this application?
No concerns for me, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Quincy. Yes.
none for me either. Given that this is an amateur licensing, and I'm sure that Mr. Vella will be conscious of the matchmaking, so I really have no further concerns or questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. I concur with the matchmaking comment for sure. Mr. Vella, if this does take place, please keep an eye on matchmaking for a 49-year-old first timer. It's important. It should be open to a motion if there is one.
Mr. Chairman, I move that pursuant to ARS 5-227, 5-228, and AAC R19-2-C604, that we grant a 2023 amateur MMA combatant license to Mr. Jeremy Levithan. I apologize for butchering your name, for 2023.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Commissioners. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations to Mr. Leviathan. B2 is also pursuant to ARS sections 5-227, 5-228, and the AAC R19-2-C604 for persons over the age of 36. A new license application submitted by Mr. Clement LaCroix for a 2023 professional Muay Thai combatant license. Mr. Vella, can you speak to Mr. LaCroix's application, please?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a recommendation, and I apologize. Mr. Davis is with us here in the office, and so out of recognition of his time and the value of his time, I would ask that the commission may consider switching the agenda items around so that we can address Mr. Davis's hearing.
Okay, fair enough. You'd like to skip 2, 3, 4, and 5, hold them for later, and go to B6. Is that your recommendation?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, if you're okay with it.
I am. Let's do it. Let's go to B6. Pursuant to AAC R19-2-C608A, a hearing by the Commission, as requested by Mr. Chad Davis, regarding the Executive Director's intent to revoke professional boxing license. Mr. Vella.
Mr. Chairman, Val Marciano, our AAG, is with us. As this is a hearing matter, I will turn it over to her.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yes, thank you. We're turning the video. Mr. Chad Davis did appeal the notice, and I would defer to him if he would like to speak first. If he does not want to speak first, we're prepared to proceed whichever he desires. Mr. Davis?
How you doing, Chairman? Mr.
One
Davis.
second, we're gonna move this so you can speak. Oh, let's ask Deanie if she wants to speak. Can
I
you?
just want to let the commission know that I'm here in the function of their independent advisor on this matter.
Thank you. That's Deanie Ray, who's joining us. It's good to hear your voice. I'm glad you're here.
Good to hear yours too.
Okay. We can speak to the camera.
How you doing, Mr. Chairman? I mean, all chairmans. The reason I'm here today is I'm trying to fight for my license be reinstated. I chose to make a decision over a doctor that is not decision he made was a wrong decision he made for the fight. I was supposed to fight September 9th on OG Promotions. When I arrived there, I was seeing the doctor. My blood pressure was at 163. It was high, and he waited a few minutes, and then I went down to 161. Then I waited like another 10 minutes and came back. We checked it. It was at 152. He stated that it was fine to fight at 152. But at that time, he was saying that I said, why can't you just clear me before? You know what I'm saying? It was just a few points off. He said that you could, you could die. Something happened to you, you could die. You get hit wrong, you could something happen to you. So, so I waited and I tried to make my decision, and things started coming to my mind from different athletes that had cardiac arrest during games, and my mother passed away from a heart condition, and when she was just doing some normal activities at home, on the way home, she was leaving, and she passed away that night when I was at the strip theater watching the fight. So I just started thinking about things, and I made that decision to disqualify myself from a risk taking. So that's what I did. I didn't know my license was suspended until maybe about a few days later. I was supposed to fight again on Friday the next week in Florida. A matchmaker asked me, why were you license suspended? And I explained to him I didn't know. I explained to him what happened, and they were still willing to let me fight still. But I told them I already had a doctor's appointment set up, made after the a few years later. I want to see my doctor, and I explained to her, hey, I got a fight coming up on Friday. She said, well, I'm recommending you not to fight right now until I really check you first. So I did no boxing since September 6th. And so I did blood work, did cardio and heart disease check, and I waited for my results, came back. Then I reached out to Mr. Danny and speak to him in person to the situation I made, the decision I made. Now, for that point, he said that my license was suspended. So after talking to different promoters and different coaches, they said I should appeal this because I was not in the wrong for this decision I made. So here I am trying to fight for my license back. I don't think I made the wrong decision. I made the correct one, just for safety risk.
Thank you,
So,
Mr. Davis.
I'm
sorry.
asking you for, I apologize to Mr. OG, Fidel. I've known Fidel for like 10 years now. And he was willing to put me back on the next show. But this cannot happen again. And I'm not trying to let it happen again. I'm asking you for looking hard for forgiveness and give me a second chance. And I believe that's fair.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. I appreciate your time. Ms. Marciano, are the commissioners allowed to ask questions at this point?
Yes, sir.
Or how do we proceed? Okay.
Yes, sir. Feel free to ask
Commissioners,
questions. Go ahead.
thoughts, questions for Mr. Davis?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Feinstein. I'm unclear. I understand that the commission physician did your pre-fight check and found that you had high blood pressure, repeated it, it was just slightly lower. What happened between that and you not participating in the event? Did you just leave the building? Did you speak with the promoter? Did you have a conference between the doctor, yourself, and the promoter? Was there any discussion that happened, or did you just leave?
No, I just didn't leave. I spoke to Fidel, and I didn't get the chance to speak to the doctor. We could have waited. We could have waited at least an hour or two to see what change could happen. But it seemed like everybody was in a rush to get everything done. I didn't just. I mean, I left. I went straight to the doctor. But at that time, she said we can't see right now until the 21st. So I just didn't, like I said, I spoke to Fidel. I went to the, now I didn't get to see Juan or anybody like that. So
there was no discussion with any officials from the commission.
no. I reached out after 3 weeks by. I reached out to the commissioner 3 weeks later. I didn't hear from nobody. Nobody didn't call me. I didn't get no email. I reached out to the commissioner, and that was like 3 weeks later after the fight.
And just as a point of clarification, Mr. Vela, the commission physician cleared him to fight. In other words, this was not at the behest of the ringside physician saying that this high blood pressure would prevent him from fighting or that it would be unsafe for him to participate in the event. In other words, this was not the ringside physician decision. This was the fighter's decision. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Commissioner. As Mr. Davis had mentioned, he was cleared.
Yeah, I was cleared, but after reading it, I was at stage 2. Anything past 140 was extremely, it's dangerous. It's still dangerous. Anything past 140, it was dangerous. It was hypertension stage 2.
I mean,
So
is that your assessment, or was that the
no,
physician?
that's not my assessment. That's something that's all over. That's just the doctors. My doctor. After I showed her and told her, she said that was not. He's not recommending you to fight that night. So she said that you made the right decision to make. You made that right decision not to, because that was a high risk still at 152.
Yeah,
So I think that the doctor wasn't really wasn't he just cleared me. I think he just cleared me just to make the fight happen.
So I don't want to debate the medical risk of that blood pressure figure. What I think is more relevant is how you conducted yourself after that in terms of communicating with the physician, with the commission, and with the promoter that you were pulling out of the fight at the last minute. I think that is the part that concerns me.
Yeah, I didn't want to pull out the fight. I trained 9 weeks hard for that fight, and I just came off from a hard fight just before that fight, and went straight back to training again for 9 more weeks. I think that I wanted that fight, but I wanted to be safe. And when he diagnosed me, he was like, "Well, we could do this at 152." When he knew that it wasn't even safe then, but he just did it anyway and just cleared it.
I don't have any more questions, Mr. Chairman.
So,
Commissioner Feinstein, I'm sorry, Commissioner Pennington. What are your thoughts, sir?
Mr. Chairman, I have no questions of Mr. Davis. I think the explanation has been fairly clear. I appreciate his time. I appreciate his comments. But at this point, I have no questions for him.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Now,
Commissioner Feinstein, are you
Chairman?
satisfied, sir?
Chairman. Now, I have gotten this under control. My doctor cleared me. I changed, I had to change my diet. I had to stay away from caffeine drinks. I had to stop doing a lot of things. She has been monitored by log. I did refuse to take the medication. So she said that the next thing I could do is just take a lot of beet juice and nitric oxide and green tea will help you keep your stuff lowered down and keep it lowered.
Well, good.
No.
I'm glad you've gotten the help you needed and you're heading in the right direction. Mr. Davis, you're 44 years old. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I'm 44 years old.
You know, and when we get to 44 years old, we start talking about how much longer we continue down this path,
Well,
you know.
yeah,
There's lots of ways to
I,
take part in these events without being in the actual ring.
yes, like I said, I've been taking care of my health. I'm not your average 44-year-old guy you see. I could still fight. I can still perform. I'm just asking you, sir, for forgiveness and let me continue. I probably don't have much time left in this sport,
Okay,
but
fair enough.
I'm gonna give you, and I'm gonna give you my, I'm gonna give you my all. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just asking you, sir, for forgiveness and let me reinstate my license back in 2024.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Davis. I really appreciate your time.
Mr.
Ms.
Chairman,
Marciano, should we send it on to Mr. Bella and the like?
Yes,
Mr. Chairman,
go ahead,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman,
I'm sorry.
I do have a question of Mr. Davis.
Okay.
Yes,
Sorry
sir.
about that. Mr. Davis,
right.
had you consumed any sports drinks or any other caffeinated beverages prior to going into the exam with the doc?
Did I go into it? Repeat that again?
Had you consumed any energy drinks or caffeinated beverages prior to going to the event?
Not that I know of, though, sir. No, I did not.
Okay, all right. You just made the comment of staying away from caffeinated beverages, and that's
Yeah,
what
Yeah,
that's what caused my question.
after I saw my doctor and she asked me, what do you do when you work out, you train? I said, well, I drink maybe two of those a day. One before I go to training, and I work 7 days a week, man. And I go to the gym 6 days a week. I'm up late at night to 11 o'clock at night, training still, running 5 miles and late at night, wake up again at 5 in the morning. Yeah, I drink maybe like one or two of those, you know what I mean? And so since then I haven't been drinking those. I haven't been drinking no caffeine, no coffee. I've been staying away from that. Basically, I've just been drinking a lot of green tea.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr.
Chairman,
Davis.
thank
Appreciate your
you
thoughts.
for letting me
Yep.
ask the question.
Absolutely. Thank you. Ms. Marciano.
Yes,
next?
Mr. Chairman. I have just one or two questions of Mr. Davis, if I may.
Please.
Mr. Davis, if you're permitted to go ahead and enter into another competition and your blood pressure is 152 over something, would you feel that it's safe for you to fight?
I would say next time I will wait an hour. Next time I'll wait an hour.
Okay. Second question I have is you sent Danny Vella some documents yesterday via email and an article.
I have my phone. It's basically saying that.
But you did send those.
Yeah, it's stating that a physician is supposed to disqualify. Based on what I'm trying to say is a physician, a ringside physician is supposed to disqualify a combat sport when he has hypertension stage 2 or anything that or from 3. He's supposed to.
Okay. And you also sent, it looked like medical data, medical records.
Those are my medical records
Yes.
from my doctor.
Now, just so you know, and I copied you on the email, I forwarded those, and I know Mr. Vella did too, to the commission. Are the commission members allowed to review those? Keep them confidential, and we've asked that they keep confidential.
Yes.
Okay, and again, Commissioner and Chairman, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the division respectfully requests that the documents submitted by Mr. Davis himself
Those were from a doctor.
from a doctor are marked as confidential and treated as such and determined not to be subject to public disclosure, similar to the documents that the division would like to submit that are unredacted. We've not yet submitted unredacted versions. We've submitted redacted versions, but assuming the commission will order that all of that is treated confidentially, confidentially, we will submit unredacted versions of those. So I just wanted to make sure Mr. Davis understood that those documents were submitted to the commission and that the division requests that they be treated as confidential.
Now this one, am I requesting though? I am willing to do a cardio list where perform exercises, do my exercises and to show you that I'm healthy to do perform stuff.
Okay.
I'm willing to do that. You know what I'm saying? I think I deserve a second chance. I've been through a lot through boxing. I've been cheated out of money. I just fought a few months ago. The promoter gave me a bounce check that didn't go through. The commissioner still hasn't done anything about it. I have worked with plenty of other coaches where they made bad decisions on me. I believe that I've been punished too much already in boxing, and I'm still here, still trying to make it and show people that, I'm the best. I haven't even gotten a chance though, but I'm the best. I have all the skills. I've been doing this for 27 years. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just asking you is like, hey, 2024, you come back and get your license back. I will stay suspended until end of December and come back and perform exercises to show you that I could perform and still do this at 44.
I appreciate that, Mr. Davis. I appreciate your time and your thoughts, and but let's press on if we can.
Okay, thank you,
Sure.
Mr. Chairman. I would have a few questions of Mr. Danny Vella.
Mhm.
And I'm turning to the exhibits that the division submitted. The first exhibit that I want to call Mr. Vella's attention to is Exhibit 2. And what is Exhibit 2?
Exhibit 2 is the notice of the intent to suspend Mr. Davis's license.
Okay, and the second page of Exhibit 2 calls out some rules. Do you see that?
That is correct.
Okay, and some of those rules are under Exhibit number 1. If you'll turn around to Exhibit number 1. I'll call your attention to Rule 19.2C601, J3 and 5. Do you see those?
Yes, I do.
And can you just explain what those are briefly?
Yes, so this section states that the commission may take disciplinary action or refuse to issue or renew a license for those reasons stated in ARS section 5-235.01, or if the applicant, and under subsection 3, has an industry license that has been previously suspended, revoked, or denied in this or other jurisdictions, or under subsection 5 has committed any actions that would be grounds for discipline under R19-2-C605.
Thank you. And I'll call your attention to Exhibit number 3. Exhibit number 3, what is that?
This is a notice of intent to suspend license that was sent on October 22nd of 2018 for a violation that Mr. Davis had committed in a similar fashion.
For not showing?
For not
I-
competing in the
okay.
scheduled bout.
Okay, but Mr. Davis did serve the suspension.
It is my belief that he did.
Okay. Okay. And then I want to call your attention to exhibit number 1. Again, I want to go back to Rule R19-2-C-605.
Okay.
Call your attention to C as in cat number 2.
And so under this rule, R19-2-C605, which is grounds for disciplinary action under subsection C2, says in addition to grounds listed under ARS 5-235.01, B, grounds for disciplinary action are, and under subsection 2, breach of an industry contract.
And number 6.
And number 6 is where the licensee has committed any actions that would be grounds for denial of license under R19-2-C601.
Okay, call your attention to exhibit 4. And what is this?
This is the bout agreement that Mr. Davis entered into with OG Boxing Promotions for
And-
September 9th.
I'm sorry, and I'll call your attention to section number 1.
Section number 1 states that the combatant agrees to enter into a contest for the promoter at the Glendale Civic Center in the city of Glendale, Arizona on September 9th, 2023.
Okay, and is that the provision that Mr. Davis did not comply with?
That is correct.
Okay, Mr. Davis signed exhibit number 4, correct?
Yes, he did.
Okay, I'll call your attention to exhibit number 5. Now, the exhibit number 5 you have is redacted, correct?
That is correct.
What is exhibit number 5 though?
Exhibit number 5 is the pre-fight medical evaluation that was performed on September 9th by the ringside physician.
Okay, can you just describe what you experienced at that time during the pre-fight evaluation?
Yes, so during the pre-fight evaluations, I was taking care of some administrative matters, ensuring that the ring and other elements of the venue were properly set up. I had been called over to the ringside by the ringside physician to discuss Mr. Davis's situation, in which he advised me that Mr. Davis' blood pressure was elevated and that he was going to give him time to relax and retest it 10 minutes later.
And did that occur?
Yes, it did.
And what happened? What were those results on the second test?
So the ringside physician had informed me that the blood pressure was under the threshold, and he was comfortable allowing Mr. Davis to compete.
Is it unusual for a fighter to have an elevated blood pressure before a bout?
In my experience, it is not. Typically, a ringside physician would follow those same procedures, allowing the athlete a moment to relax and calm down, and then reevaluate the blood pressure.
Did you speak with Mr. Davis at the time this was occurring?
At that particular moment, I had not, as Mr. Davis had proceeded outside with his coach. And after he had come back and had his blood pressure reevaluated, he had asked the doctor for some time to think over that decision with his coach, and he did. We then called Mr. Davis into the hallway, as he may recall, and our chief inspector, Ryan McCollum, was present. I was present, and as was Juan Estrada. He had walked over as well.
And what was discussed?
Mr. Davis, we had asked him what he would like to do because the ringside physician would have to finish his entire evaluation. So we had asked if he would be participating in the event, and he stated that he would not.
Did he ask for additional time?
He did not at that point.
Okay. Would you have given him additional time?
We certainly would have.
How long would you have given him?
Well, it would have obviously been reasonable depending upon when the ringside physician was needed. So it would have had to have been before the event began. But at that time, I don't recall what time that was. So we would have given him until the ringside physician had to be ringside.
Okay. Okay, and I'll call your attention to Exhibit 6. And what is that document?
This document is a note that Mr. Davis had sent me following the event, stating that Mr. Davis was evaluated at Honor Health Urgent Care on September 10th, the day after the event. And it states to please allow Chad Davis to return to boxing without restriction as of 9/10/2023, which is that same day.
Okay, and I'll turn your attention to Exhibit number 7. What is that document?
This document is Mr. Davis's license application that he submitted this year.
And on page 3, he signed it.
Yes, he did.
On page 2, no, I'm sorry, on page 3, the same one we're on. Would you please read the statement right after the word warning? Please read carefully before signing.
It states, I hereby make application for a license to be issued in accordance with the terms and provisions of the rules of the commission. I agree to strictly comply with the laws of the state of Arizona and with the rules of the commission as they may be added or amended from time to time.
Okay, I'll call your attention to Exhibit 8. Now, that document's been heavily redacted, but what is that document?
This document is a physical examination that was submitted with Mr. Davis's application.
Okay, I'll call your attention to page 2 of that document. The lower part, what does examining physician must be an MD or DO physician? Under that statement, what does that represent?
It states that I have examined the above named subject and I have medically cleared to fight.
And who signed that?
Dr. David Cho.
Okay, and below that, medical release, what is that?
It states that I authorize any physician to release to the Arizona Boxing and MMA Commission any of my medical records in his or her possession. I also authorize the Arizona Boxing and MMA Commission to release any medical information or other personal information with respect to my status and licensure as a professional boxer or unarmed combatant, which may be contained in any of its record to the other state commissions. I agree that a photographic copy of this authorization shall be valid as the original. I agree that this authorization will be valid for a period of 1 year from the date indicated in this document.
Okay, and that's dated,
That was signed by Mr. Davis and dated March 21st of 2023.
okay, and turn your attention to Exhibit 9. And what are those pages? 3 or 4 pages.
This is a printout of Mr. Davis's box rec profile. It shows his record along with other pertinent information.
Okay, and Commissioner, also in addition to these exhibits, the division has provided the commission a link to the application, the hearing on Mr. Davis's application. We do not need to listen to it here. Mr. Davis has a question. Feel free.
I do want to go back 2018.
Oh, certainly.
Suspension.
By all means, please do.
Now, 2018 suspension is was Chris Cortez, correct? Cortez. At that time, Eddie Ocho was my trainer and manager. Now, I don't know what was discussed between him and Mike Sanchez, but I was never informed on anything. When Mr. Ocho gave me the contract, it was $1 on the contract. And he stated, I said, when I asked him about the contract, I said, why is there $1 on the contract? He says, oh, it's going to change at the weigh-in. It's going to change at the weigh-in. He says, it's just like this now because this is something new they're doing right now. I was like, I've never seen this before since I've been boxing. I've never seen no contract like this. It says $1 on the boxer's purse. So went to the weigh-in. I never got this explained to Mike Sanchez or Robert at that time because I was so distracted at the weigh-in doing paperwork and other stuff. Only thing I signed at the weigh-in was a beneficiary to my daughter for something that happened when I fight that night. That's the only thing I signed. Now, my wife is the one who kind of brought to my attention the day of the fight. So I got on the phone, called Mike Sanchez. Mike Sanchez says, yeah, well, we're not going to pay you for the fight. That was correct. And I was like, nobody has not told me that, period, that you wasn't going to pay me for the fight. So if you're not going to pay me for the fight, then I'm not fighting then. And I kept my word. I was not going to fight for $1. I had trained 9 weeks of training through punishment. I put my family, sacrificed my family, everything has everything. Okay? So when they knew I wasn't coming to the fight, they didn't even want to write a check out for a 6-round fight for $600. Who's going to fight? I'm not fighting for $600 or for $1. So you want to play games and bullshit me, then there's no fight going on. And I kept that. Yeah, I got suspended for it. But I took that L for all fighters that they tried to play putting $1 on a contract. It's not gonna work. So they want to play that, there was no fight going on, and not stand by my word.
Mr. Chairman, I have just one more question for Mr. Vella, if I may.
Yeah,
Now I
please.
don't know.
Go ahead.
I don't know who signed off on the contract. If they went to the commissioner, whoever, but I don't know who signed off on that. That was okay for put $1 on the contract. That is
Okay, thank you, Mr. David. Ms. Mariano, you have a question for Mr. Vella, you say?
Yes. Mr. Vella, you heard Mr. Davis say he would go through some physical tests if he were to be able to compete in the future. Does that affect your decision on a suspension with that offer?
It does not,
And why not?
because Mr. Davis has provided to us that he is healthy to compete. He's done that both when he licensed, that's a prerequisite to being licensed, and he was healthy based on the ringside physician's opinion at ringside. So our disciplinary, well, my disciplinary recommendation is simply because of his violation of a breach of contract, and it's related to the fact that he has done this repeatedly. It has nothing to do with his health.
Mr. Chairman, I move to admit exhibits 1 through 9 plus the audio recording. And that is all I have for questioning, sir.
Thank you so much. Ms. Ray, where do we go from here?
Well, I believe that there was a motion filed and to allow those exhibits to come in unredacted under seal. And I haven't heard anything about that yet. And also, I think together with that, there was a motion to continue, which I assume has been withdrawn. So I think you need to make a decision whether you want to see those records unredacted. And there's 2 ways to go with that. You can have them entered under seal, or Mr. Davis can consent, I think, to them being released unredacted.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Ms. Ray. Commissioners, what are your druthers at this point?
Mr. Chairman, if I might, Mr. Davis indicated he had a question. He was looking at me. I'm not his counsel, but I want to give him the full opportunity to understand what was discussed. And from what I understand from Assistant Attorney General Deanie Ray, is the commission has the ability to accept the unredacted, the not blacked out records of your history that Danny Vella has, to review those if you consent, if you say it's okay.
Even in the box rec?
No,
Or
not the box rec, but the records, the medical records. Yes.
Yeah, they can see it.
They can see it, but I just, again, commissioners and Mr. Chairman, the division does request that any review of those is only by the commission and council if needed, and those are not disseminated to the public because the division believes and views those as confidential to Mr. Davis and not to be publicly disclosed.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioners, what are your druthers on this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
I'm sorry, Mr. Davis?
Mr. Chairman, this is one of his trainers, Coach Green. I sent the letter on his behalf to Mr. Vella, and I'm at work right now, and I've been waiting to speak on his behalf.
You want me to bring your food down there?
Okay, we're glad to have you. Go ahead.
First of all, ladies and gentlemen, I'm like everybody for allowing me the opportunity to speak on Mr. Davis' behalf. And I'm going to just keep this short and sweet. What has happened to Mr. Davis, unfortunately, is poor management. Now, it's a two-way street because I believe in that, and me and Mr. Davis has already spoke on this, and we do have a verbal NDA. But one thing I can say is that this gentleman is trying. He's trying. I understand what Mr. Vella said. But one thing that's being missed out of all of this is mismanagement. That what has happened to this young man's career, mismanagement. And it has happened to a lot of fighters out here that has mismanaged their career. They're trying to be the promoter. They're trying to be the manager. They're trying to be their own ringside physician. It's mismanagement. And that what has happened to this young man. Mismanagement. But also he do understand that he has a shelf life. And I'm glad earlier y'all spoke on that when y'all say, hey, you're 44. How much longer? And I've spoken to him on that as well, ladies and gentlemen, on this panel, on this commission. But one thing, what do boxers say? Safety of the fighter. That comes first. Safety of the fighter. So if the fighter throw hold, my health, my safety, then hey, what are we talking about? Now understand, the fight must go on. The show must go on. I've spoken to Mr. Hernandez of OG Promotions, so I understand that. But one thing, what if that man would have went up there on those 3 and 4 steps that take a lot of courage to do, but he didn't come back down those 3 or 4 steps? Then what? That's my concern about all of this. Should he be punished? Yes. Yes, he should be. But should he be given a death penalty, as I stated in my letter? No, he shouldn't. Because remember, as one of you so eloquently stated, Mr. Davis, you can't do this much longer. You might want to look at other avenues. And I have discussed that with him as well. So all I'm asking y'all for this commission, please show this gentleman some empathy and sympathy. But also for the rest of his career, I will be working with him and advising him. Because if I was with him, because I didn't know he had that fight going on. But if I was with him and I knew what was going on, I promise everyone it would have been a different outcome. But we have to look at where we are today. So all I can say as of today, I will take responsibility to help this young man to ride his career out. That's all I'm asking, ladies and gentlemen, of this submission. But please, please, please don't get that man a death penalty. Don't do that. Because we need men like him for our young men and women out here in these streets to teach them, listen, you don't have to pull a gun. You don't have to pull a knife. You can come on and, get in a boxing ring. And I have discussed that with him as well. So commissioners, I stand to be corrected, Mr. Chairman, I would like to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to speak on Mr. Davis' behalf. And Mr. Davis do have a copy, and I emailed Mr. Vela as well of my letter. Nothing was redacted, but Mr. Davis know how I feel. But I can't go public with it, but he know how I feel. So I would like to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to speak on Mr. Davis' behalf. And moving forward, I will be the one who helped Mr. Davis. Also, I will be applying for my manager's license in the state of Arizona as well. So I can make sure this don't happen again to him or any other fighter to my best ability. Thank y'all so much.
Very good. Thank you. Well said. We appreciate you joining us.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Commissioners, any thoughts or questions?
No
Mr. Chairman, at
further-
this point, I have no further questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Feinstein, any thoughts about this?
First of all, I appreciate everybody's time that's been devoted to this matter. I think that the fighter certainly has been given a very fair opportunity to present his point of view, and I appreciate the discussion from his manager. My concern, having been a ringside physician for a decade before I was a commissioner, is that it is very common for fighters to have elevated blood pressure prior to an event, given the adrenaline and that fighters have leading up to an event. So this is something that we deal with very commonly. It's something that we are comfortable letting fighters fight. We feel that it's safe beyond obviously extreme limits, which it sounds like this was not. And my concern is that the fighter was cleared to fight by the physician, and the fighter chose to do something different and walk away at the event, which he had done previously in 2018 for a different reason. And my concern is that there's nothing to say that he wouldn't show up to the next fight and have an elevated blood pressure. Like I said, it's very common prior to events. And there's nothing to say that something else wouldn't happen that would cause him to just walk away from a fight at the venue, as has happened 2 times previously. And while I I do feel that the commission in this case, the rules and regulations, I tend to think they should be upheld.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Ms. Ray, where are we? Are we in a position to entertain motions right now?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Mr. Davis has raised his hand, and out of consideration for the appellant, I have no objection to allow him to speak if Mr. Chairman would allow it.
Thank you, Ms. Marciano. Mr. Davis, please.
Yes, I would say, sir, I'm not gonna let this happen ever happen again. If it ever happens again, then I'm not gonna come down to this office and talk to Mr. Gill about anything. I already know what the call would be, but I'm never gonna let this happen again.
I promise y'all it won't happen again.
No, it won't happen again.
Thank you.
I put that on, yeah.
And I appreciate that, Mr. Davis. And I think you understand the severity of something like this. People bought tickets to see you fight, and the promoter spent a lot of time and money promoting the event, and your opponent worked like you did for many weeks preparing for it. And it impacts a lot of people. So we want to protect the safety of fighters. We also need to have the interest of the ticket buying public and the promoters at heart as well as opponents. So there's a number of moving parts here.
The opponent that was really supposed to fight, he backed out because he had an eye injury. The guy that was the first guy supposed to fight, he had an eye injury. He couldn't compete. The new guy was a replacement. They just found probably a few days before the fight.
Understood. I'm just talking about kind of general terms that when people back out of fights, it does affect a number of different people. But I appreciate your thoughts.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Marciano, where are we now?
Mr. Chairman, just to make sure the record is clear, I moved to admit those 9 exhibits plus the audio, and I asked the commission for a ruling or determination on that. So I'm sure that the commission have those documents to consider in its deliberation.
Thank you, Ms. Marciano. We do have a motion out there dangling. Is there a second by chance?
Mr. Chairman, can the attorney make a motion, or does it have to come from a commissioner?
It has to come from the commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we admit all of the documents submitted by our attorney for the record.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Second.
Commissioner. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we're back to our discussion. The chair would be open to a motion regarding this if there is one.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we affirm the executive director's suspension of Mr. Chad Davis because of lack of fulfilling the contract and the Arizona revised statutes governing.
Commissioner, I believe the recommendation is for a revocation. Is that correct, Ms. Marciano?
Revocation.
A revocation.
I'm sorry,
That is correct.
I'm sorry, revocation. Let's put it as revocation. Revoke the license.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Davis, we really appreciate your time. Well, I think we understand where you're coming from. We look forward to great things from you, and let's spend this time trying to get things right. But I appreciate your time. I appreciate your trainer coming out here, and I think there can be some great things for you in the future. I really appreciate you. Let's circle back. We have to get back to B2, which is pursuant to ARS sections 5-227, 5-228, and AAC R19-2-C604 for persons over the age of 36. A new license application submitted by Mr. Clement LaCroix for a 2023 professional Muay Thai contestant license. Mr. Vella, you speak to Mr. LaCroix's application, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Mr. LaCroix has an extensive record. Now, with Muay Thai, I would like to mention that Muay Thai, because of the various organizations and so on and so forth, record keeping with Muay Thai has historically not been as standardized as it is with MMA or box rec. And so I've included the materials, his combat registry profile. He is 41 years old, and in that profile, it reflects a record of 2-0, or excuse me, 1-0 as a professional Muay Thai and 3-0 as professional MMA. Now, on Mr. LaCroix's own accord, he has a record of 35, 11, and 2, as I mentioned, and that is in professional Muay Thai. As I mentioned, the record keeping historically, because of the different organizations, has not been as consistent. Now, with that said, Mr. LaCroix informed me that his training sessions are typically 1.5 to 2 hours long. He trains 6 days a week. He trains twice a day. In the mornings, he runs, he does back work and lifts weights. In the afternoon, he jumps rope, does more back work, spars, pad work, clinch work. He says he feels great about his upcoming bout, and he feels prepared because he feels his recovery time is really good, especially in between rounds. He feels he pushes himself well between rounds, and when he spars, he feels better and recovers well. He has not experienced any recent injuries, and I do recommend his approval for a pro Muay Thai license.
Thank you, Mr. Vella. Commissioners, any thoughts about Mr. LaCroix's application?
No
Mr.
questions
Chairman,
for
I have no questions regarding the application. It's just a simple question for Mr. Vella. Have we approved professional Muay Thai fighters in the past? I mean, it's something we certainly could do. It's just that this, best of my recollection, is the first professional Muay Thai combatant's license that we may have approved.
So, Mr. Commissioner, he is over the age of 36, and so it is brought to the commission. But yes, we have.
Okay. Okay. I understand. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a brave new world, Commissioner. We're seeing some
Yes, it
professional
is.
Muay Thai over 36.
I
It
love it.
sounds like neither of you have questions. I don't either. The chair would be open to a motion if there is one.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we grant Clement LaCroix a 2023 professional Muay Thai combatant license pursuant to ARS 5-227, 5-228, and AACR 19-2-C604, being a fighter over age 36.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Congratulations, Mr. LaCroix. B3 is also
Mr.
pursuant to
Chairman?
ARS sections. Yes, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Ms. Ray, AAG Ray has raised her hand. Penny?
Oh, yes. Ms. Ray.
Yes. Sorry to interrupt, but I think my function here is completed. I was here as an independent advisor only on the Chad Davis case, so I'm asking permission to leave the meeting.
Please do. And it's great to hear from you. I hope all's well, and thanks for helping out and joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ms. Ray.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ray. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Let's go to B3. Pursuant to ARS Section 5-227, 5-228, and AACR 19-2-C604 for persons over the age of 36. The new license application submitted by Mr. Warren Stavone for a 2023 professional Muay Thai combatant license. Mr. Vella, did I pronounce his last name right? Stavone?
Mr.
Stavone?
Chairman, I believe his name is actually Stavone Warren, and that was my mistake. But
My name is Stavon.
Warren did
Stavon.
submit-
Stavon.
Stavon, excuse
Got
me,
it.
Stavon. Excuse
Thank
me.
you.
Y'all butchered.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. It's okay.
So, So Mr. Stevan Warren, as you can see, he is with us, Mr. Chairman. He did submit everything to us yesterday. It just was not in time to have sent it all over to you, but I'm happy to report on it. So Mr. Stevan Warren, again, is subject to the Muay Thai historical record keeping. His MMA registry profile reflects 1-0 as a professional Muay Thai combatant, and that bout he won via TKO earlier this year. As for his training regimen, he states that his training sessions are typically 1.5 to 2 hours long. He trains 6 to 7 days a week, from intense the first 5 days and very moderate on the 6th and 7th day. He does a 3 to 5 mile run each day, jumps ropes for 10 minutes. He does pad work for 3 to 4 rounds, bag work for 2 to 3 rounds, 10 minutes each, and does 200 kicks and finishes with a workout daily. He says Tuesdays and Thursdays are strength and conditioning, and sparring he does 2 times a week. He says he feels very confident about this bout that's upcoming. He has put in the work, which gives him a great deal of confidence, and he has not experienced any injuries. Now, as for his record, Mr. Warren has a self-proclaimed record, of 71-30 as a professional Muay Thai combatant, and I do recommend his approval.
Thank you, Mr. Vella. Mr. Warren, so sorry about mispronouncing your name, but I appreciate you joining us today. Commissioners, what thoughts do you have about Mr. Warren's application, if any?
Mr. Chairman, I have no questions.
No
Thank you,
questions,
Commissioner. Okay, I too feel the same way. The chair would be open to a motion if there is one.
Mr. Chairman, pursuant to ARS 5-227, 5-228, and AAC R19-2-C604, that we grant a new license submitted by Mr. Warren Stavone for a 2023 professional Muay Thai combat license. Sorry about the name again.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr.
We have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll approve the motion, but for Stevan Warren.
Very good. You also second that motion, Commissioner?
I do second it, yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Sorry about that, Mr. Warren, but we got it done, Stavone. So thanks for joining us, and best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Yep. You take care.
You too.
B4 is pursuant to ARS Section 5-227, 5-228A, B, and E, and 5-229, the renewal license application submitted by Mr. Kevin Rooney, doing business as Matchroom Boxing USA LLC for a 2023 promoter's license. Mr. Vella, will you speak to Mr. Rooney's application?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This renewal application was reviewed by our financial investigator, and stated that Matchroom Boxing is financially stable, and we may determine that there are no obstacles in our way of approving this. I do recommend the approval for renewal.
Thank you, Mr. Vella. It's good to see Matchroom back. We'll see them here shortly, right? December 16th, I believe.
That is correct.
Very good. Commissioners, any thoughts?
No, Mr. Chairman, I don't have any questions.
Okay, fair enough. Chair would be open to a motion if there is one out there.
Mr. Chairman, pursuant to ARS 5-227, 5-228A, B, and E, and 5-229, I move that we renew the license application submitted by Mr. Kevin Rooney, doing business as Matchroom Boxing for a 2023 promoter license.
Thank you,
Mr.
Commissioner.
Chairman, I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Fantastic. Motion carries unanimously. We press on to B5, the review of the Commission's authority to adopt rule sets under AAC R19-2-D601A. The Commission may vote to go into executive session under ARS Section 38-431.03A3 and/or 4 in order to discuss with its attorneys on this matter. Mr. Vella, please speak to this.
So, Mr. Chairman, at this point, I'd leave it to the commission as to whether you would like to go into executive session to discuss this matter with council.
Commissioners, what are your thoughts on this particular piece of funds?
Mr. Chairman, I'm somewhat torn by it. I don't have a great need to go into executive session, but I certainly wouldn't oppose it if one of the other commissioners wanted to do that. I think, I'm not certain whether we can actually discuss the communication that we received in a public meeting or just how we proceed at this point.
Thank you, Commissioner. I do think if we're going to discuss it, it needs to be done in an executive session, and it's probably the correct path.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn the regular session and reconvene in executive session.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. We are going to leave the regular session and reappear in executive session.
Yes, and I'm
Mr.
going to
Vella.
attend the executive session without anybody else being here. So it will be private from my standpoint.
Okay. Same here. Mr. Vella, there's another set of phone numbers that I should have in front of me, isn't there?
That is correct, sir. The invite was sent over to you this morning.
Okay. I will see you there shortly then. Thank you all. This is Scott Fletcher.
This is Pennington.
Okay,
This is Scott Fletcher.
yes, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Pennington, we can hear you both. Sir, we do have a quorum.
Okay, do we have time to get through what we have left? I guess we'll find out, won't we? We are back into C, our information reports. C1, the event reports following events were approved by the executive director, contingent upon promoter being licensed by the commission from October 17th to November 14th. The first was a request from Del Sol Promotions LLC for approval of a boxing event to be held at the Arizona Financial Theater in Phoenix, Arizona on Friday, December 8th, 2023. And the second is a request from Matchroom Boxing USA LLC for approval of a boxing event to be held at the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona on Saturday, December 16th, 2023. Item C2 is our Sportgate concussion protocol. Mr. Bella.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Just an update. We will be piloting this for the December 2nd Samurai Soul Muay Thai event. So we do have our first couple of fighters scheduled today. They will be coming in to the office, and one that we will be meeting them in a remote location to administer the concussion baseline screening.
That's fantastic news. Thank you. Commissioner Pennington, you hear that? We made it.
Yeah, I did. Yes, super fine.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you. Well, in the interest of time, let's press on. But congratulations, Mr. Vella. It's a great, great thing. C3 is our upcoming stakeholder meeting on Monday, November 20th, 2023. Mr. Vella.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This is just a reminder that the meeting will commence at 3 o'clock on next month, or this coming Monday, November 20th, and it will be here on location at in Suite 300. That's 100 North 15th Avenue in Phoenix, Suite 300.
300. Very good. I will be there, and I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate you doing so. Item C4 are duties/authority previously delegated to the executive director. Mr. Vella.
Mr. Chairman, I'm still in the process of compiling that report and will report back to that. I just wanted to include it on this agenda to let you and Commissioner Pennington, who had made the request, know that I am actively working on it.
Okay, great. More to come. Looks like.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. D, our call to the public. Mr. Vella, anyone would like to chat with us?
At this time, sir, I do not see any hands raised.
Okay, thank you. E is our call to the commission. I don't have anything. How about you, Mr. Vella? Mr. Pennington, what do you have?
I do not
I
have
just
anything.
look forward to seeing you on Monday.
Very good. I'm glad you'll be there. Thank you. F is an announcement that the next regularly scheduled commission meeting will be at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, December 20th, 2023, and is subject to change based on a quorum, which leads us to G, the possibility of adjournment, which would require a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
I'm going to second that motion. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thanks for hanging in there with us, Commissioner. It's good to spend time with you. You all take care. We are officially adjourned.
Thank you. Bye-bye.